A stamp exists to make distance predictable. For most of human history, sending a message across space was uncertain. Messengers were paid individually. Letters were handed from one carrier to another. Fees varied by distance, weight, and negotiation. In many systems, the recipient paid upon delivery, which meant messages could be refused. Communication moved, but only when all parties agreed in real time. This made mail fragile. It depended on trust, availability, and willingness at every step. The sender could not be sure the message would arrive. The carrier could not be sure they would be paid. The recipient could not be sure of the cost until the letter appeared. The stamp emerged to solve this by changing when commitment occurred. Instead of negotiating payment at the end, the stamp shifted payment to the beginning. It transformed delivery into a prepaid obligation. Once the stamp was affixed, the system had already agreed to do the work. This single change reshaped everything around it. The stamp itself needed to be unmistakable. It had to be visible at a glance, easy to verify, and difficult enough to counterfeit to preserve trust. Its small rectangular form was not decorative. It balanced surface area for information with minimal interference. It could fit on any envelope without altering handling. Adhesive was essential. A loose token could be reused. Glue made the stamp inseparable from the message, but only temporarily. The stamp was never meant to outlast the journey. It was meant to survive just long enough. This is why stamps are canceled. The mark across the stamp does not damage it accidentally. It deliberately removes its future value. The stamp is not destroyed because it failed. It is destroyed because it succeeded. Its authority ends the moment its job is complete. The imagery printed on stamps reinforces this logic. Stamps rarely depict urgency, persuasion, or emotion. They depict stability, leaders, landmarks, symbols, anniversaries. The stamp reassures the system that this message belongs within it. It is not advertising to the recipient. It is signaling compliance to the infrastructure. Stamps also encode weight, distance, and category into a single object. Instead of calculating fees at every checkpoint, the system reads the stamp once and moves on. Complexity is compressed into a small square so that the rest of the process can remain simple. Human behavior is central to this design. People avoid friction. They resent surprise costs. They abandon systems that feel arbitrary. By making postage visible and prepaid, stamps remove uncertainty. You know the cost before you send. The carrier knows payment is settled. The recipient is freed from negotiation. This predictability allowed mail to scale. Sorting could be automated. Routes could be standardized. Delivery could become routine instead of exceptional. The stamp also assumes imperfection. It assumes envelopes will be bent, stacked, dropped, and delayed. It assumes people will place stamps crookedly. It assumes handling by machines and hands. This is why stamps are forgiving. As long as they are roughly visible and intact, the system proceeds. As communication technologies advanced, stamps did not disappear immediately. Even when faster methods emerged, stamps remained because they solved a problem those methods did not. Universal access without negotiation. Anyone could buy one. Anyone could use one. No account, no device, no identity verification beyond possession. The aha moment arrives when you realize the stamp is not paying for delivery. It is authorizing effort. It tells a vast system this message has already been approved to move. Once you see that, the design clarifies. The stamp does not care about the content of the message. It does not care about urgency or importance. It cares only that the rules have been satisfied. In modern contexts, stamps feel quaint because so much authorization now happens invisibly. Digital payments, subscriptions, and accounts remove physical tokens entirely. But stamps reveal the logic underneath those systems. Payment first, movement later. No negotiation in between. At the end of its journey, the stamp becomes worthless. Torn, marked, discarded. And that is intentional. Its value was never intrinsic. It existed only to bridge effort and trust across distance. Invisible design often disappears once it works well enough to be taken for granted. The stamp did that long ago. It made distance routine, and once distance became routine, the object that enabled it faded quietly into the background.